Guys, welcome back to the Physique Factory podcast with myself and Conor and Moran. So,
good to have you back, James.
Things.
It's good to have you back after last week.
Yeah. Oh, you did one by yourself, didn't you?
Yeah. I just thought I'd better get something out there. But I thought I'd fire one up there. Hopefully people found it interesting. It was a bit more serious than usual.
I'm going to be honest. What was it?
The power of consistency, James. Come on, you tell me you don't listen to your own podcast. You don't listen to yourself talk back.
No, I can't be doing that. I can't be watching myself back and listening to myself.
It's just like record it then forget it even exists.
Yeah, it's same with anything that I record and put on Instagram. It's just I can't bring myself to watch it back. I do it when I'm editing it and putting it on, then maybe. But as soon as it's posted, I can't. I'm like, nah.
I look at mine, I'm like, what a handsome man. What a handsome man. Big arms as well.
Just keep watching it. Watch about 50 times a day.
It's got like 7,000 views, but they're all me. So how's your prep going, James?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, like for 5 weeks in, so the 6th week next week, it's absolutely flown. But I've not even thought about it really because I've been that busy. It's just really easy. I mean, I'm on no cardio or anything like that. I'm on like quite high steps, 20,000, but compared to like what I normally do anyway, it's not like 16, 17,000. Yeah. So I'm just actively thinking about going like a little walk once a day, and it's just easy. From the last time I prepped was 2018. I know the first time was the year before. I really struggled just because with the structure and so much change, because then I wasn't weighing my foods every day. For the past 4 years, even though I've been in like an off season sort of thing and maybe doing a mini cut here and there, I've been like really structured with it, weighing everything, being really precise and having that routine. So I think doing that, it's not really changed because I was only having like one off-plan meal a week with that. The only difference in prep is I'm not having that off-plan meal, and that's basically it. I'm in a deficit as well, so
yeah,
there's nothing.
I think going back to the steps, I'm glad you said it's like not much more than you usually do, because I didn't want someone to listen to this and be like, shit, I've got to do 20,000 steps every single day, because that's a lot of steps. Like for some people, that is a lot of steps.
We're PTs, aren't we? So we're on our feet all the time. Especially you work at 2 gyms, don't you? So I guess you're walking around a lot. And
well, I pace around a lot as well. I don't know about you, but I definitely pace around a lot.
Thinking about posts on Instagram.
Just walk around in circles, make it look like I'm busy. But how do you think getting those steps in on like the weekend though? Like so tomorrow when you're like not working or anything, or even today? How do you think getting those steps?
Today. So what I'll do is I'll actively think about going on a walk. Probably might go on 2. So straight after this, I'll walk up to the gym. Have a walk around the res there, and then I'll probably go on another walk later. I get 20,000 in, definitely.
You need to get yourself a dog or something, James.
I know, yeah. I've got a cat, so I can just walk
that. Even I found with steps as well, like if you get up early and get like a chunk of them out of the way, like I'll go walk a dog first thing in the morning, and that like gets a good chunk of them out of the way early in the day, then you're not kind of chasing your tail. But if you leave it and you sit and do nothing all day, and then it's like 5 o'clock and you're like, I've got 10,000 steps to do. That's not a good way to do things.
To be fair, I did that the other night. I had 6,000 steps. It was on the Thursday. It was bank holiday, so the gyms were like restricted hours.
Yeah,
in England anyway, because of all this Jubilee shit.
But, yeah, we're not. Well, I'm personally not celebrating that the same. Some people are.
No, I'm not either. But so yeah, the gym closed at 4, meaning like probably half the steps I did that day. So I left until about 8 o'clock at night because I had some stuff to do on the laptop, and so I had to like literally, it was going dark. I was walking around the moors at the top of the house, and yeah.
Of course, you live in that kind of area.
yeah, sheep and cows all over the road.
Aye, up in the moors. So you better watch yourself up there. I try to remember the names of those infamous people that were up there.
Yeah, what did he say? What with it? It's the Moors murderers. What they called? Ian Brady.
I forget what they're called.
Ian Brady and I can't remember.
Is it? I can't remember. The history's not my strong point.
Anyway, that's not what the podcast is about.
Yeah, this has turned into a murder mystery one.
Yeah. On another note, we was having a conversation the other day, wasn't we? This is what the whole podcast, why we thought we'd jump on and do this and center around this topic. We haven't really got a name for it, but we're just going to see where it goes with the topic. And that's more like skill acquisition. So when we're training, say if it's maybe if it's yourself or if you're a PT, you've got a client in the gym, if you're giving them a certain exercise that might be challenging, it might be challenging skill, as in what's a good exercise for, like, what would be challenging? Say if a newbie come to us.
Well, I think a good example is what I talked about the other day, actually, in the whole RDL thing, because like when I work in the studio, we are limited on equipment. We've not got a lot of stuff in there. So I've seen me like in the past, and I didn't know any better at the time as well, but giving someone an RDL on their first day in the gym and they've never trained in their life before. And I'm like, why can't this person do that? Why are they struggling so much? Why does this look like, the shitting dog sort of thing? And I'm like, why can't they actually do that? And I suppose through a bit of like learning and a bit of trial and error, you soon learn that it's like, right, I can regress this exercise and I can give them something that's more simple. And then it leaves that client, if you give them the RDL on the first day and they don't nail it straight away, they're going to feel like they're an idiot. They've never been into a gym before and they're like, oh, I'm not doing too well at this stuff. But if you can regress that, take it back to even like, I suppose like a real regression of that going way back would even be just something like I suppose a glute bridge almost to a degree, because it's first kind of starting bit of that kind of hip extension movement. So if you can give them something simple, your client might be beyond that already, but if you can find out where they are in that kind of skill requirement, whether they're at the glute bridge, whether they're maybe at a 45-degree hip extension, or whether they're maybe at an RDL, if you can give them something they can pick up within 2 minutes, they're going to feel like, yes, I'm absolutely smashing this. But if you give them something like the RDL and they've never done it before and they don't have the skill requirement to do it, well, then they're going to feel like an idiot.
Definitely. I think that's one thing as PTs that we, when we first went into training people about like 8 years ago, that's something that I didn't really think about, like the skill requirement. No one actually taught us about that. They said when we was doing our PT qualifications, was like, right, here's a list of exercises. You do this, that, and the other. And it's just set in stone like that. But they never actually taught us the actual skill. I know they teach us like cues to do, and even they're wrong that we got taught, because everyone's a bit different to what cues we're actually going to use with some individuals. Someone else might be different. So it's totally different than that sort of thing. But there's no idea that where you start off from, really baseline thing. And like you said just then, it's totally dependent on the client's level, where they're at. So if the like entry level beginner, then maybe we wouldn't go into an RDL straight away. We go into something more like potentially maybe a hip extension if they can do that. So learning to flex, spin the hips, and then like a glute bridge.
Again, you've got to watch with something like a hip extension, like a 45-degree hip extension, because if you've got quite a heavy client, it's going to be quite challenging for them.
That's it. It totally depends on the client, doesn't it? That's what I mean. It's like you can't just list a shitload of exercises on paper, do the perfect workout for their goals, and not thinking who they are. That's the most important thing you need to think. What's their tolerance at the end of the day?
Definitely. And like, again, going back to the RDL, like there's so much going on there, like the stuff you've got to keep still, stuff you've got to move, and like movement patterns they've just not done before. And as I say, it's just going to leave them feeling a bit like an idiot, because there is so much to consider. And if you don't know how to contract certain muscles and how to keep certain muscles still, and you've not really got the strength or ability to do that, well, then you're not going to get on too well. And I think when I first started doing it, I remember I was like, okay, I just need to try a different cue. It's like, this person is definitely not getting this. I'll just try something else. I'll just say something else. That just wasn't the case.
It's just not working.
No, you could say any cue you wanted, and they still weren't going to get it. And then it was just going to be like this kind of never-ending, like, right, let's try this again. Maybe 3 or 4 sessions down the line they would get it, but it's like, I've just made them feel like an absolute idiot for 3 or 4 sessions, rather than making them feel like they're absolutely smashing this thing and having a nice kind of route of progression. It also keeps it interesting too. If you can take someone from, the baseline exercise all the way up to something that does take a lot of skill requirement, then that's great.
That's it. It's just that awareness, the client being aware of where their body is and where their limbs are and all that sort of thing. Because when we've been doing RTS and Integra and stuff like that, they call it orchestration and getting everything going. What are all the pieces of the puzzle that are required?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, most of them to begin with, it's getting everything contracting and it's a nervous system regulating everything where we're at. So
I think that body awareness is a big thing too, because I've definitely, I would say, I reckon I've got good body awareness, and I'm like, I can contract muscles pretty well and things like that. And so I should be able to, but, sometimes you watch back your training videos and you're like, fuck, oh shit. Yeah. That's not, was that, sorry?
Compare something like this to if someone gave me and you a unicycle and to cycle across like a washing line. That's like giving someone an RDL in the gym who's never done one before.
Yeah, exactly. And like, you might get an odd person that can just absolutely smash it straight away, but 9 out of 10 people aren't going to be able to do that.
Yeah, that's it.
I would not manage on that fucking unicycle. Never mind the washing line, just on the unicycle, full stop.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure like my father-in-law has a unicycle. You know that?
Oh, that's interesting. You should give it a go. Really give it a go. Put it on Instagram.
Nah, I'm all good. Injured out of the gym for ages. It's like that skateboard at Metcon. I would have liked to try it, but I know how it would end.
There's more and more people giving it a go now. There's like a bunch of bodybuilders that have joined up and they're doing it, and all can hear is
Skateboard and bodybuilder.
They're going to go through the wall.
Yeah, fuck that. Like, I'm not risking the injury.
Yeah, it's definitely not worth it for me as well. The way I can't move well, so.
So what's another exercise you see like a lot of people
all the fucking time is a lunge or a split squat or something like that where there's a lot of balance involved. We're not going to get onto the actual topic of balance because that's really, really in depth and there's more to it than what you think. But in terms of someone doing like a lunge or a split squat, I see it all too often just because I see someone teaching it, they're doing the exercise, they shouldn't be doing the exercise, they're all over the show, they don't display like ownership when they're doing the rep. They don't look like they should be doing it ethically. They shouldn't be doing it. They shouldn't be doing it because they're overweight. Think about the forces that are going through their joints. They're not stable. It's just a silly thing to do.
A walking lunge with weight for someone that's like already pretty overweight is probably a bad idea.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you see it all the time in like the Biggest Loser things, don't you? In America, they're getting them doing stupid shit.
Is that where you study for like, right, I need to get some new stuff for clients. I'm watching Biggest Loser.
No, that's where most of PT studies these days.
Yeah, qualified at the Biggest Loser.
Yeah, it's shocking. But yeah, again, let's go back to that like lunge split squat thing. You're seeing someone, they're all over the fucking place. They can't stabilize themselves. They can't own the rep. Again, like they're really, really overweight. So just think about the forces going through that knee.
But I think another thing with that as well is where you place something like a split squat in the workout. Because again, something that a mistake I've made myself is put a split squat near the end of a leg workout. It's like, what a stupid fucking idea.
Even for us though, when we're that fatigued, it's fucking hard work, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Whereas like if you done something like, I don't know, like even I suppose a hack squat or a leg extension or something like that, like at least with a hack squat or a leg extension, you've got some sort of external stability. You don't need to rely on like your internal stability as much. And if you're more fatigued, something like that's going to be better at the end of the workout. Not to say I would never do it, because sometimes I just like to be cruel. But yeah, you've got, again, who are you giving it to and can they handle that sort of thing?
That's it. I think with those clients who are new to something like that, say if they're overweight, or they've got no skill, they've not done the exercise before, you'd look at the exercise that you want to do eventually, and you just think, what are the pieces of the puzzle to make up that? So that'd be something like leg extension, or you can get an embrace and you're more locked in on like a leg press, if that's something that they could do. I mean, you're seeing people who split squats like Bulgarians or anything like that, or even walking lunges, like we said, when there's a perfectly good leg press where you could do a single leg press on. I just don't get it.
Yeah. Again, it comes down to who have you got in front of you and what do they actually need, and what can they tolerate, obviously. Another thing, like I was going to mention there again, I'm actually just relating this back to all the mistakes I made as a PT, and it was like, to begin with, because obviously like we do like bodybuilding training, I'm like, right, so today's back day for you, today's leg day for you, shit like that, and it's like they've never been in the gym before, and I'm like, right, it's leg day. Like someone who has never trained before is not going to be able to handle that much volume on their legs.
All in one go. It's ridiculous.
I actually remember I had a girl in, and at the end of it, I was just getting her to like step up on the bench. It was just like, right, I'll just get some sort of other idea for something. And her legs were that fucked, she like fell over. I was like, okay, I'm making a mistake here. So definitely learn from your mistakes.
But I mean, like going back to that thing was like leg day, chest day, all that sort of stuff, and someone has never actually been in the gym before, and maybe that's not even their goal. They just want to get in good shape, and they're not going to need that much volume on one day, especially just starting off. And another thing is like PT is absolutely killing the clients, and they can't go down the stairs or they can't fucking walk out the gym at the end of the session, and they think it's a really, really good thing when they're causing that much muscle damage. They're totally fucked for the next 2-3 weeks. They can't do the job properly. They can't sit in the toilet and have a shit properly.
It's one of those things you've got to just push them beyond their tolerance a little bit.
That's
and give them a little bit more than what they need, and and then just kind of advance it from there. But another side of that is some clients definitely do like that, though. They do like that you know, feeling that they've been absolutely hammered. But it's just maybe when they are new to the gym, it probably isn't the best thing for them.
You just know by the personality as well and what their goals, what they want. How do you want to feel after the session? How do you want to feel during the session?
Yeah. Like recently, actually, I'm embarrassed to say, I had a guy. He came in and trained me, and to be honest, I thought he was handling it pretty well. You know, we're going. I was doing some supersets and things like that, which maybe was slightly inappropriate for him. Now that I'm like looking back on it in hindsight, I'm thinking, right, maybe it was a little bit inappropriate for him. But he handled it pretty well. Looked like he was going through it pretty well. And he texts me after it, and he was like, "Oh, great session last night, man. I spewed when I got home." I was like, "Oh no, that's not great. That's not what I want." I've obviously pushed him way beyond his tolerance, like far too much, more than he needed. And obviously, but he thought it was a good thing. He was like, you know, that was a good session last night.
Got off of it then. That's it.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely. But at the same time, again, it's I suppose even just asking someone. I think I don't know if it was actually Michael from Integra that actually said this to me in the first place and got this in my head. But I was like asking them how they want to feel at the end of that session. What kind of experience do they want to have that day? And he was quite happy with that experience. But at the end of the day, for me as a supposed fitness professional, I'm thinking, right, that is definitely a bad feedback mechanism from his body that I've pushed him beyond where he should be. So again, it's just you kind of learn from doing, I suppose. And you are, like, for anyone that is like new to personal training and things like that, you are going to make mistakes, but it's important that you kind of take from them rather than continuing to make them for years.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you just learn as you go on, don't you? And then it's just find that tolerance with the client. I mean, for the majority of my clients, I always start off at really, really low volumes, especially on legs. If I'm doing anything like a hack squat or a leg press, if that's required to meet their goals, and then I'd start off with like one set, keeping like maybe like 3, 4, 5 reps in the tank on that first session, because it's just going to get really, really uncomfortable for the client, and that may be something that they don't want. And then the day after, the legs are going to be fucked and they can't walk. And then they, like I said previously, they can't.
I just absolutely smashed them in the first session. Hope for the best.
Don't come back.
But again, that's another thing. Like if you take the wrong person and smash them in their first session, like absolutely annihilate them, they're probably not going to want to come back.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's just they've not enjoyed that, and then the DOMs that they get in, they're not going to enjoy it. So it's a bad first exposure to personal training. So it's probably not good.
Definitely.
There's that other thing that we learned about. It's very rare, but rhabdomyolysis.
I can never remember the name of that. Yeah, that is crazy. Like I had never heard of that until I started watching RTS videos. Never heard of it, but yeah. I mean, yeah, basically, like that was about that guy in America that gave his client kidney failure from training them too hard, wasn't it?
Yeah, nearly died.
Yeah.
But that's another thing to think when someone's not been to the gym before and you're exposing to the client with that much like force and stimulus, and you're causing that much muscle damage, you can even cause like muscle fiber death, and then those fibers you got to get filtered out through the kidneys, and that can cause renal failure and then even die after that. So
it's crazy, isn't it?
To worry, but
I'd love to know what that guy done in that session to take it that far.
It must have been intense though. That I don't know. To literally take it that far, because I remember one of my friends, he's into CrossFit, fucking cross shit, but
why is this guy your friend, James?
Exactly. No, I'm just thinking that now. So no, he was my friend. Sorry, but
yeah, it was.
Yeah. So apparently they learn a bit about rhabdo when they're doing their cross shit training stuff.
What, just in case?
Yeah, I'm not saying fit. I'm calling it shit now. So it's.
Well, at least they're aware of it. But yeah, it's crazy. Like I'd love to know a bit more context on that one. But I think that story that he showed us in RTS, it was more like she was really, really like unfit and untrained and things like that, and like severely overweight as well. So again, like it would be pretty obvious not to push her that far, but I would love to know what he actually done with.
And is leading on to that. Oh, another thing that really makes me cringe. I just think poor knees, poor everything when they're doing it. The box jump, fucking hell. I mean, like for athletes, it's a good thing. It's learning how to absorb forces when you're landing on the ground and doing eccentrics like that when you're landing. But if you want to lose weight, a box jump isn't the best exercise to do, because there's so much better things to do. You can get on a prowler, you can get on the treadmill, the bike. Why do you want to fuck up your own joints when you're massively overweight, when there's something as simple as walking on a treadmill to do rather than doing a box jump? It's just going to fuck your knees up.
Do you want to explain why it's going to fuck your knees up, or if I just asked one question too many, James?
It's just the forces that we're using. So that impact when we're jumping onto that box and that weight's coming down, the weight of the client. So if they're overweight, there's going to be so much force going into the knee, and then as you're hitting the box with the impact, and then that knee is going to take so much abrupt force, then potentially some ACL injury, maybe tendon injuries in the long run. But when they're absorbing that landing, they've potentially going to go into a lot of valgus with the feet if they're not landing on their feet properly. Their arch is going to collapse and knees are going to go in, and then ACL is going to be fucked. Maybe.
I think the simple way to think about it is force equals mass times acceleration.
Exactly, it's that simple, and then yeah, injury.
That brings on nicely to something like and now we're getting into tempo. We're just talking about random training shit now, aren't we? But
yeah, we'll call this one ban the box jump, by the way.
Or random training shit.
I'm not saying box jumps are bad. That's the thing. For the right client, for the right goal, if they can tolerate that much of load and the eccentrics and the plyometrics of all that sort of stuff, then that's fine. I've been mostly athletes, they're pretty good for absorbing loads, training the stretch short and cycle. But if he goes weight loss, don't even bother doing box jumps.
It's definitely not essential for those sort of goals, is it? But yeah, that brought me on nicely to I see a lot of people on particularly hack squats and like pendulum squats and things like that, where we're taking that equation, force equals mass times acceleration, and they're on the hack squat or the pendulum squat and they're just fucking rocketing down, just going down so fast, and then like bouncing out the bottom and smashing up. And I just think your poor knees.
A good thing with the pendulum as well, and then do you not seated leg press that we use when you come down?
Yeah,
I was looking into it, and it's going to get really. I don't mean to like fucking get really technical here, but rotational inertia. Just because that weight is further away from the axis than what we are, where we're pressing, that weight's going to move a greater distance, meaning it's going to be harder to start and stop.
It's going to be harder to slow down, yeah.
So we really need to focus on going really slow into the bottom and the top of those movements when the weight's further away from what we're pressing from.
You can see it in a pendulum squat. If you just look at someone on a pendulum squat, you can see that thing's going to want to move fast, and the person usually allows it to. But every time I see that, it just it hurts my knees.
It's just if we're moving, like Conor said, then it's mass times acceleration. If we're moving fast into the bottom, think about what's on the load. Say we've got 20 on the pendulum or something like that, and we're moving at a certain speed. That's going to weigh more than 20. That thing, if we're coming down at a speed and we've got to stop maybe twice as much of that, and potentially we couldn't even tolerate that weight. So we could maybe tolerate the 20 that's on it, but if we're moving fast into the bottom, then we've got to change direction, stop that abrupt force. Then we're going to be lifting even more, and potentially our knees, tendons, ligaments can't take that.
I think a simple way to think about it is if I was to throw a small stone at you, it probably wouldn't hurt that much. But if I was to shoot a bullet at you and the speed that it's going at, that would fucking hurt.
I think another one is jumping off a bridge, but not saying you should jump off a bridge. But if we just jumped off a bridge and didn't really move that fast and went slow or something like that, then we wouldn't get hurt. Or it's even like falling over or something like that. I mean, we're going to pick up the speed. It's the distance that we're going to travel. That's it. It's just, if we fell over at a slow speed and controlled our landing, then it wouldn't hurt. But the faster we're going to fall over, obviously it's going to hurt. It's like punching someone. Even like you just said, if the speed matters. It all matters when we're lifting weights.
Definitely. And again, relating it back to something like a pendulum squat or even a leg press, the faster you let that come down, the more force you're going to have to come up with at the bottom to then press it back up.
And for some reason, people in the fitness industry don't think physics is important. She's just crazy.
That's it. I mean, everything we do is physics, isn't it? Yeah, to some degree, anyway.
Yeah.
To some degree.
It is. Cool. So, what do we slag off next?
Hopefully we'll save some knees there.
Yeah, don't do box jumps unless you are a professional football player.
Don't do box jumps. Don't fucking smash down on the pendulum squat. Yeah, there's some knees saved already.
That's it. There's another one as well. I remember getting taught is, totally take out the eccentric because you're causing too much muscle damage. If your goal is not to cause much muscle damage with a client, you just need to take it out the eccentric. And the is literally drop into the bottom of the pendulum, and I was like, this isn't right. This is fucking crazy. Literally bouncing out the bottom, focus on like slow concentrics. And I was like, you really need to control that bottom bit, else your knees are going to get fucked up. So they thought about the whole physiological sort of thing with like muscle damage with the eccentric and the lengthening the muscle, but they didn't think about the forces going into our knee joint with that abrupt force. It's just
they thought of one half of the equation but not the other. Have you seen that? Like, did you see that happened? Like,
As in, like, people doing it. Yeah,
yeah.
I saw people getting coached that. Yeah, and I was like,
Oh, really? Wow. You've seen it all. I don't see
well, I've
that
seen a
much
lot of
bad shit.
fucking bad
Like,
shit.
I suppose between working in the studio and working in the gym at working, I don't actually see that much bad stuff. Like, you'll maybe see members in the gym doing stuff, but I don't actually see that much bad stuff from like PTs or that, which is a good thing. Obviously, that's positive.
This was from a time when I worked in Manchester, like saying about taking the eccentrics. I don't want to say names or anything like that, but
Name them, James. Name them.
yeah, I know. We got taught that, and yeah, it's not probably a good thing to do.
Yeah, it's good that you realise that as well, though, that you're like, yeah, something's not quite right here.
Yeah, I knew something wasn't quite right, but when we started doing RTS, then we know why. I think that's what's so good about Integra and RTS is we always know there's something iffy about movements or there's something off. Then we actually break it down and look into it, and that's what makes things so cool about those courses.
Yeah, definitely. And again, like I think we should probably just have a discount code for RTS at this stage.
We should do.
Promoting it that much.
Michael on here next.
But yeah, luckily, as I say, I don't see that much shit, but maybe I just need to get out more. And there are some crazy things that go about though as well, and I think like things like TikTok and that as well, you get some amount of shite on that. I get so many clients that come up to me and they're like, "Oh, I've seen this on TikTok," and I'm just like, "No."
It's just social media in general, Instagram.
Well, yeah, true.
Poison, isn't it?
Well, again, I don't just tend to see that much shit, but I'm maybe not looking in the right places.
Yeah, we don't follow the right people. No, we don't follow the wrong people. That's it.
Well, maybe we should start following them and calling them out.
Oh, imagine that. That'd be class. We'd definitely get a lot of exposure.
Was there not that guy before, like the farm police or something on Instagram?
Oh yeah, they've disappeared. They was having all the bodybuilders off work there, but it was funny though what it was
doing. It was quite funny. Scared to post that in case you're up next.
Yeah, I don't think they're doing anything anymore then. So that's
I think you get away with it now. What's the worst thing you've ever done like that?
It's probably something to do with like squats when I first started, just doing like partial squats or squatting to parallel, which was just, I don't know why they taught us that in the PT course. It was like, oh, just squat to parallel 90 degrees. And it was like, for some people you should go lower, some people you should be higher, you shouldn't go to that depth. So it totally depends.
I think going back to that, I said I don't see much shit, but I definitely do see that a lot. I do see people sacrificing the range of motion that they have available to them. So I mean, to get clear in this, like some people will have a limited range of motion on things for many different reasons. We won't get into that, but I definitely see people limit the range of motion they have available for more weight. And you just look at it and you think, why? What is the point? What do you actually think you're doing there? And yeah, that is something that is definitely really common in probably any gym in the country. And basically, if you're one of these fucking half reppers, stop. But again, remember that is going to be relevant to you. So if you say, for example, you go in the leg press and you can only get down like a tiny bit, and it's not really much range of motion, and that is all you've got available. You've tested your hip range of motion, things like that. You've tested your ankle range of motion. That's all you can get, right? Well, maybe you need to look at that and think, is there a better exercise I can be doing? Is there something that would suit me better? Is there something like a hack squat if it's your hip range of motion? Is there something like a leg press with a 4-bar linkage, so that, if it's your ankle range of motion or something like that? So again, like, don't just sacrifice form and depth and things like that for more weight, and B, if you're not getting much range of motion out of that exercise, then there probably is going to be a better exercise out there for you.
Definitely,
or better variation. Create something. This is just like a warning today.
That's it.
If I see you in the gym doing that shit, I'll probably call you out.
Yeah, that's gonna be our.
Film you and put you on Instagram.
If we see any shit if we see any shit in the gym, record it, put it on Instagram, tag them in it. Keep not doing this.
Yeah, well, it's like we won't help these people. We'll just record them and laugh at them.
Yeah, make them feel bad about it. Then you definitely won't do it again.
Yeah, probably never come back to the gym again. That's a good point as well, though. Like, people are bad for that kind of thing, aren't they? They'll like film someone doing something instead of actually telling them. Like,
why?
Have a conversation
all the time. These fucking master PTs pricks, but the fucking getting the phone out, filming things, not even ask what they're doing. They're fucking all over the show again with the reps, and they just put it on Instagram just for the sake of it.
It's hard to judge sometimes because again, someone might have broken their leg, for example, and that's all the range they've got right now. And they're maybe just working within the range that they've got available to them to then strengthen to like rehab it almost. And it's hard to judge, definitely. Because
just do the thing that we do with every client pretty much, is just find out the range of things. If they highlight a problem to us, say they've broken the leg, then we go through all the ranges in that leg, compare them to the next one, and then we'll probably go off the majority of the time we're going to go off the ranges that are limited in that leg.
But if you're looking at someone in the gym, you don't know what their injury history is. You don't know what their training history is. You don't know what they're training for. You don't know what their goal is. So
here's a good one. Here's a really good one. Have you ever been training someone for so long and they've not mentioned any injuries or anything, and then all of a sudden they go, "Oh yeah, well this leg isn't actually my leg," or something like that?
You know what I mean? Prosthetic.
Like, well, you could have told me that when we first started, rather than 2 years down the line.
Yeah, I have in like the questionnaire and that, and like usually when I'm doing initial assessment, I'm asking if there's any injuries or limitations or any previous injuries or things like that. And they're like, "Oh no, it's fine." And then it's like 2 or 3 months down the line, they're, "Oh, my back, yeah, oh yeah, I've had problems with it for years." I'm like, "Oh, have you? That's interesting to know."
That. That's brilliant.
It's about time I fucking found that out. That does happen quite often though.
Why does that happen all the time? I was like, "Oh yeah, I just didn't mention it. I thought it was all right," and I was like,
"I felt all right that day."
Injuries.
I know it's crazy. It's I think another thing that is important to know is like someone's training history as well, and what they've actually been accustomed to. If you've got someone that's been training for years, but say someone that's been training for like 10 years, but they've never really seen any results in the last 10 years or whatever, it's good to know what they've actually been doing and what's not been working for them essentially, which is getting into a whole other topic.
And I think we should get onto that topic next time. So do you want to wrap it up, make it a quick one?
Yeah, we might as well. That's just some random training facts for you guys today. Hopefully there's been some real good take homes in that. Hopefully it's been a bit more interesting in my solo one last week.
I'll go back and watch that.
There's nothing to watch, it's just listen. I just done it like a voice recording on my phone, so I think it's like windy and that outside as well, so it probably doesn't sound that great, so apologies to anyone that wasted their time listening to it, but hopefully you took something from it.
Cool. Anyway guys, nice one for listening.
Cheers guys, thanks again for tuning in.
Cool, I'll see you next time.